Hello. This is something we've been trying to put together for a little while, and we've been working through several different iterations of this over the years that we've been doing this here at Back to Health Chiropractic, and it's just never really worked out quite well. So instead of continuing to try to bring everybody into the office for what I consider one of the most important parts of your chiropractic care education, we've decided to go ahead and put this on video that we can go ahead and upload online so that you can watch it at your convenience. So, needless to say, this is our What is Chiropractic, or Getting the Most Out of Your Chiropractic Care presentation. The whole concept behind this is that it's designed to help you understand your chiropractic care better so that you're going to be able to get more benefit out of it. The fact is that if you've committed to going through a care plan here at Back to Health Chiropractic, you've spent a bit of money to do so, or you're in the process of spending the money, and we want to make sure that you're getting every penny's worth so that you get the full recovery you can get and end up incredibly happy with your care so that you can live the life that you want to live and live it at the maximum potential. So, without further ado here, I guess, we're going to go ahead and dive in. So the big question is, what is chiropractic? And that's a question that many people have asked over a lot of years. And the fact is, if you ask 10 different chiropractors what chiropractic is, they're probably going to give you 10 different answers. So I'm going to explain it to you based upon the way that we approach chiropractic here at Back to Health Chiropractic. But in order for me to answer that question, we're going to have to give you a little bit of an anatomy lesson. Okay, so this is very basic, but ultimately we start off with your spine. Okay, it's really the most important part of your body because really it's the main supporting system of your body, and a very important structure lives in there. And we're going to dive into that here in just a second. But your spine is made up of 24 individual vertebrae, 7 of which are in the neck, 12 of which are in the mid-back here, 5 of which are in the lower back, and then we've got the sacrum, and then you have the pelvis. So that makes up the main bulk of your, what we call your axial skeleton. The only other thing that would throw onto that is your skull, okay? Now, from that, we're going to progress onto here. So why do we care about the spine? What lives inside of it? Well, your spinal cord lives there, okay? So inside the channel of your spine runs this big mass of nerves. There's millions upon millions upon millions of nerves that run through your spine and go from your brain, which is the most important organ in your body, all the way down through the nerves, out your spine, and then to your body. Now, from that spinal cord come 31 pairs of spinal nerves. So 8 come out of the neck region, 12 out of the mid-back, 5 out of the lower back. Then down here in the sacrum, you've got 5 more coming out there, and then 1 from the coccyx area down at the very bottom. Now, this is, of course, the direct line of communication between your brain and your body. Everything that happens in your brain has to have a pathway, and everything that happens in your body has to be sent back up to the brain for monitoring. It's a back and forth communication system, and if they're not communicating properly, things begin to go awry, and that's what lands a lot of people in the office here. Now, let's break the nervous system down a little bit more so you understand it a little bit better, okay? So you have basically 2 sides to your nervous system. What we consider the somatic nervous system, which is the part that controls things like sensation and muscle control, that kind of stuff. And then you've got the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the automatic side. It does all the stuff that you never want to think about, like your heartbeat, whether or not your pupils constrict when you walk into a bright room, or whether or not you sweat when it's hot outside. So you don't want to have to worry about all those different little processes going on. You just want them to work. So now we're going to break that one down a little bit more, okay? So your autonomic nervous system is broken down into 2 sides as well. And you've got the sympathetic nervous system, and you've got the parasympathetics. The sympathetic is your fight or flight mechanism. So if you're walking through a forest and a bear jumps out at you, you want that side of your nervous system to kick into gear because you have 2 choices at that point. You're either going to go ahead and run like crazy and try to run away from the bear, or you're going to turn and fight to the bloody end, okay? So there's a certain set of processes that engage in order for you to be able to withstand that type of environment. Then you've got your parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest. You don't want to be running on full steam all the time. Sometimes you need to be able to kick back, relax, digest the food that you just ate, and heal your body from that encounter with the bear, okay? So you want both of these things to be working well. You don't want one to be overpowering the other, and sometimes that happens. So we can't go nonstop with our foot on the gas pedal all the time. We've got to be able to hit that brake too. So, let's see, my computer's not working. Come on. Okay, so now that we've broken that down, we have to ask the question, what does your nervous system really have to do with your health overall? Okay? Because frankly, as we go about our day, we're not thinking about whether or not our nerves are working properly. We just expect it to work. Okay? It's that machine that you just expect that it's always going to work and never stop working. But the fact is that your nervous system has a large amount to do with your health, and in fact, it's everything about your health. Nothing in your body can function without proper nervous system function. But that leads us to the next question of what can decrease the ability of your nervous system to keep you healthy. That's kind of the whole chiropractic arena, really, because in order to understand that, we got to explain the body to you a little bit more and how it functions. So we've broken down the nervous system a bit. We're going to break down how this whole system works. So we start off with the brain. And from the brain, you're going to send signals down through that spinal cord we were just talking about to your body. And if that signal is getting through at 100%, then things begin to work properly. But that doesn't always happen. But at any rate, so if everything is working properly, everything functions properly. I was getting a little ahead of myself there. And if everything is functioning exactly as designed, I can't talk tonight, goodness gracious, then the body's happy and it's healthy, it's relaxed, and it's at ease. And if it's at ease, then everything in the body is healthy. Every tissue is healthy. We want things to be healthy because that's really what keeps us going. And if everything's healthy, then we tend to feel pretty darn good. The issue occurs when we introduce what we call in the chiropractic world a subluxation. Now, what a subluxation is, this is that thing that decreases the body's ability to keep you healthy, or the nervous system's ability to keep you healthy. What it is, it's an area in the spine that's not moving properly. One of those 24 vertebrae has now come out of its proper alignment, or it's now not moving properly. This creates an inflammatory reaction around the joint, and when that inflammatory reaction occurs, it starts to bring in fluids around the nerve, and it also starts bringing other chemicals around the nerves. We don't need to get into what all those chemicals are, but suffice to say, we've got pressure on the nerve now and irritation going to that nerve. So the nerve isn't going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. We call this malfunction. So imagine if you went to the grocery store and you bought a whole bunch of groceries and you put them in the back of your car, but we've got a subluxation here in your neck that's causing interference in the nerve that's going down your arm into your bicep muscle, okay? Now, keep in mind that it only takes pressure on a nerve equal to about the weight of a dime to decrease that nerve function by up to 60%, okay? So, if we've got pressure on that nerve that's coming out of your neck down to your bicep muscle equal to the weight of a dime and decreasing that nerve function by about 60%, when you go to lift that bag of groceries out of the back of your car, how's that going to feel? Is it going to feel heavy? Are you going to notice it? And the question is, maybe on both of those. Because you know what? Your body has an amazing ability to adapt to those situations. So you're going to engage other muscles around that elbow joint to lift that bag. And you might think, wow, this is a little bit heavy, but you're not going to think much about it other than that. Now, what if we leave that way and we continue using muscles that weren't designed for that action to continue performing that action? After a while, it becomes a lot like trying to use a Phillips head screwdriver to turn in a flathead screw. Okay? Basically, we're using the wrong tool for the job, and eventually we're going to create some kind of problem. If you're using a flathead screwdriver to turn in, or excuse me, a Phillips head screwdriver to turn in a flathead screw, you're going to eventually end up either ruining your screwdriver or stripping out your screw. Same happens here. So we're using a little bit of bicep, but a whole lot of forearm muscle and some other things in there to lift that bag of groceries out of the back of the car. After a while, we're going to start to create a tendonitis problem, okay? And that's not a good thing. And then we start looking at the elbow and going, well, why do I have tendonitis? And we start treating the elbow. Well, we're continuing to treat a problem, but we're not treating the cause. And that's really what we're about here. So if we leave that problem alone and we allow the malfunction to continue, it results in a state of what we call dis-ease. If we leave dis-ease alone long enough, it begins to affect your health. And it can actually become a disease process. But in this case, we're going to label that as ill health. And if we leave ill health alone long enough, then we don't feel good anymore. Now we're starting to feel bad. That's where symptoms come around. If we start to have symptoms, we know that at that point, your nerves are at a maximum of 40% of their optimal health. Okay? I don't know about you, but to me, 40% health is not the way I want to live my life. I want to be able to get really darn close to that 100%. And that's what we're trying to do here with your chiropractic care, is get you back up to 100%. And what does it take to do that, though? Well, it takes time and it takes effort, okay? It takes consistency. When we recommend a care plan for you, the fact that we may recommend 3 times a week or 2 times a week for a period of time, it's not just because we really like to see you, or we want to create an inconvenience in your life or anything like that. It's because this is what it takes. This is a lot like training a puppy to go outside. And I use this example all the time with people in the office. But if you get a brand new puppy and you want to teach it to go potty outside, you have to repeat that action over and over and over again to actually get it to learn that. Well, your muscles have a memory, your ligaments have a memory. They know that your spine has been here and we're trying to move it over here, but we've done this one time. So your muscles and your ligaments say, but I want to be over here. So they keep shifting back, okay? So that repetition over time is what creates the new muscle memory to actually change the structure so that we can eliminate the symptoms, treating the subluxation repetitively and get rid of the malfunction, get rid of the dis-ease, restore health, and get you back to feeling good, okay? So basically, suffice to say that a subluxation equals interference, which leads to a decrease in your overall health, okay? So this is where we get to dive into what caused this problem in the first place, because this is a question that we get on a regular basis too, is how does this occur and why does it keep occurring? Well, it's because of what we call the 3 T's, or the 3 stresses, okay? We've got chemical, physical, and emotional stress, or in the 3 T's terminology, trauma, thoughts, and toxins. Now, trauma or physical stress, that's pretty self-explanatory. You get into a car accident, you step off of a curb wrong, you get hit in the head by a baseball, I don't know, whatever it happens to be, okay? That's pretty self-explanatory. You can figure out that getting jarred by something like that is probably going to cause a problem or two. But what about if you're sitting at your desk on a regular basis while you're at work all day, and you've got your shoulders rolled forward and your back kind of flattened out, and your monitor's not quite at the right height, and you're just kind of like this all day? Okay. What kind of a stress does that create on you? This is what we call repetitive stress. These are things that continue to bother us over time, and it's little bits. Okay? Or how about starting a new workout? Your muscles aren't used to doing that either. So when we start that new workout and we're pushing that bench press bar up in the air, and we've got one pec that's a little bit weaker than the other pec, and we've done 5 reps, and now that pec starts to tire, and so we start doing this. Every one of us has been at that point in the gym at some point. But when that happens, we're pulling more with one than we are the other, and we can create some imbalances that way, okay? So there's a lot of different physical stresses that we're exposed to on a regular basis. How we sit in the car, how we sit at our desk, picking up our kids, carrying them on one hip, we've all done that kind of stuff. Now, thoughts or emotional stress, that one's pretty self-explanatory. If you start thinking about your check register and how much money you don't have in your bank account, what's one of the first things that we do? We tighten up like this. So we've all had that tension headache, we've all felt the stress, we know what that feels like. So the next one is toxins or chemical stress. These are things that we're putting on or in our bodies that aren't natural to it. So if we're smoking, or we're drinking excess alcohol, or we're consuming a lot of preservatives, that McDonald's burger that we had for lunch, the soda pops, all those different things. Or how about just cleaning your bathroom and inhaling the fumes from your Ajax? Okay? So those type of things, they take a toll on the body. Now, any one of these things by itself usually isn't enough to create a big subluxation problem. But if we continue these things and we add them up, they become additive in the body, and it begins to stress the body overall. And once we reach our body's inability to continue to adapt, once we reach that threshold, that's when we start to break down. So, how do we find it? That's where I come in. Years and years of training and going to school, education, gets us started in being able to find that kind of stuff. Now, the next step is actually putting that into practice. So once we get out of school and start actually working with people, and the more experience that a chiropractor has, the better we're able to detect these things. At this point in time, I now have over 9 years worth of actual chiropractic practice. So there's a lot of experience that's gone into that, but every patient that I see gives me a little bit more experience. So that's one of the big things. With our hands, we can feel the different motions around the spine. You can feel the way the vertebrae move. You can feel if they're out of alignment. There's usually a little bit of inflammation around that joint when it's come out. Also, in our office, we use things like x-rays and other diagnostic procedures to find where some of these different issues are. So if it's an issue with a lack of curvature in your neck or a forward head posture or things like those, we can actually locate those things with the technology that we have and be able to better treat you that way. So that's one of the big reasons that we go through those examination procedures, and why we're going to continue to go through them as you progress through your care, because we have to be able to track your progress. That's one of the big things that we really want to make sure that we're doing, is tracking your progress so that you're making sure that you get every penny's worth out of your care. Okay, so what other health concerns can be due to subluxation? Well, what you got? If every tissue in your body is controlled by your nervous system, then arguably most health problems may be able to be related back to a subluxation problem. I'm not going to say that everything is. Once you get to the point of, say, having full-blown cancer, can an adjustment fix that? Probably not. Okay, I don't believe that that can occur. Can it fix eyesight problems? Not really. Okay, I have had some people that said, or that have told me that after they get adjusted, they feel like their eyesight's a little bit better. But we're definitely not going to get rid of your glasses by adjusting. However, if we continue to monitor your spine and keep it healthy and keep your nervous system operating at 100%, we have a lot better chance of being able to fight off some of those things. It helps to improve your immune system function. Numerous studies have actually shown that adjustments actually boost your immune system function. And we have people tell us all the time that after they start getting adjusted and they stick with it for a while, they notice that they don't get sick as much. So immune system function is a big thing. How your liver operates, how your heart works. There's been several studies that have shown that an upper neck adjustment can actually decrease high blood pressure. So really, as far as health concerns go, if your body, or if your brain controls it, there's a decent chance that it can be affected by a subluxation problem. So the fact is, the only cure for a subluxation is the chiropractic adjustment, and that's what we do here. So there are other things that we couple into it, things like exercises and different stretches, and we may give you some different supports or some traction or things like that that you can do at home. But ultimately, one of the most important things that we do here is actually remove that subluxation and make sure it doesn't continue to return on you. Now, one of the things that we have come up regularly is when people come in and they say things like, well, you know, I'm really busy, so I'm going to miss this visit, but I've still got 2 on the schedule, or I've got 1 on the schedule for this week, even though you've prescribed more for me for that week. And people will begin to actually duck out of their care that way. And I'm going to caution you all against doing that, because every time we miss a visit, it's one less time that we get to help reset that muscle memory. And that's when we start to actually backtrack a little bit on the progress. So each time that happens, we're slowing down the progress. And if we want to get you better as quickly as possible, We have to make sure that we stay on top of those adjustments regularly. And I promise we will progress you out, and you'll not be seeing us nearly as much as you go through your care. But if we stick with it and you continue with the prescribed care and you do the exercises that we prescribe for you here in the office, at home, and do all the things that we ask you to do, the vast majority of people that we see do get better and find that they've really enjoyed the care and they find that it's money well spent. So if you have questions about anything that we've gone over here, definitely let us know. But this is the case of some of the results that we've seen. So this is a young lady here that when she originally came in, her mother was very concerned about her posture problems. And in the picture here, I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera here, but there's a red line that shows her posture, and her head is forward. The green line is where she should be. Her shoulders are rolled forward, her head is forward. On this other view, she's shifted way over to the side, and really her posture's not very good, and she was having a lot of upper and mid back problems at the time. So over a course of 6 months worth of care, this picture would actually be a little bit better, but she actually grabbed her thighs when I took the picture, and I didn't realize that until after the picture was already done. But if I'd have told her to just relax her arms at her sides, this mark here would have been a lot closer to the green line. But overall, her head had come back. She was standing up a lot straighter. She was even straighter on the front view there as well. So that's 6 months worth of care, and her posture was already a lot better, and her symptoms had decreased by about 90% at that point. So this is not an overnight process, but it does get better step by step. The next one, this is a gentleman that had come in, had a lot of neck pain. I'm hoping that that's showing up pretty well, but really far forward head posture. There was a lot of degeneration in this part of the neck, no curvature in the neck whatsoever. About 6 months later, here again, we shot another x-ray, and on this view over here, this line that you can see here, it should be passing through right about here. 6 months later, that line is passing right through that area. We've got a good curvature started in his neck. There is a little bit more work yet to go, but overall, really great results. So those are the kind of results that we see when people follow through with the recommendations and get the care that we've recommended. So, like I say, if you have any questions about any phase of your care, definitely let us know. We'll be tracking your progress as we go along. I always want to make sure that you're fully informed and that you're getting everything that you want out of your care so that you get the same kind of results, get away from the symptoms, start building spinal health so that you can continue living the life that you want to live so that everything stays good from now through those last few days when you're out there hang gliding for your 100th birthday. So if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call here at the office, 970-635-2848. Otherwise, we will see you here for your next appointment.